I've just bought this GT3 RS because Porsche have refused to fix it. Who can say no to a GT3 RS? But it's what lies in the engine bay that made this car so cheap.
Buying a Porsche GT3 RS should be a dream come true until the engine refuses to start and the manufacturer won't help.
At this point, we don't know. I wouldn't have bought this GT3 RS if I didn't think it was going to be an absolute bargain. But of course, there's something seriously wrong with the engine.
Imagine spending nearly $87,000 on a high-performance car that nobody wanted, only to uncover damage far worse than expected. What followed wasn't just another repair job. It became a battle against hidden problems, factory silence, and impossible odds. When Mat Armstrong took on the challenge, few believed the GT3 RS would ever run again. So how did this seemingly hopeless project turn around? The unstartable GT3 RS. When Mat Armstrong first laid eyes on the bright yellow Porsche GT3 RS, it appeared to be the ideal supercar, sleek, powerful, and utterly stunning. But beneath that glossy paint lay a machine that stubbornly refused to start. Despite its reputation as one of the most capable track cars, this GT3 RS was silent, incapable of roaring to life. How does a car celebrated for precision engineering end up immobilized and unwanted? The answer was buried deep in its mechanics, waiting to be uncovered. Mat immediately noticed warning signs, like the unmistakable smell of raw fuel leaking from the engine bay. He found that someone had purposely removed the fuel pump relay and fuse. This was no accident. It was a deliberate move to prevent the engine from cranking and potentially causing further damage. Such sabotage signals the seriousness of the problems this car was harboring under the surface. The owner who sold it likely knew it was more than a simple fix, which made Mat's gamble even riskier. In fact, the GT3 RS had been listed far below its market value, a glaring red flag among car enthusiasts. This was not a case of a lightly used supercar in need of minor repairs. It was a vehicle that had been rejected, tainted by faults significant enough to raise serious doubts about its future. People don't hand over a car like this lightly, especially not one with over 500 horsepower and a stellar racing pedigree. The deal seemed too good to be true, and Mat was fully aware of what that might imply. Yet, despite the apparent risks, Mat's history suggested he thrived on challenges where others hesitated. His reputation as a mechanic willing to tackle the toughest restorations meant this broken Porsche was more than just a car. It was a puzzle. A puzzle that, if solved, could turn a massive loss into a windfall. But unlocking the secrets of this supercar's silence required burning the midnight oil and diving far deeper than most would dare. Though visually flawless, with a professionally applied protective film shielding the paint, this GT3 RS was living proof that looks can be deceiving. Its pristine exterior masked a brewing mechanical nightmare, a betrayal of the golden promises Porsche's badge usually brings. The frustration of owning such a flawless but non-functioning machine challenged Mat's resolve, but also fueled his determination. As the engine refused to respond, the real battle was only beginning. Mat's first attempts to start the car confirmed his fears. The engine would crank without firing, as if the heart of the beast had simply stopped beating. Oil leaks from improperly secured sump plugs added another layer of complexity. Fixing these minor issues did nothing to change the outcome. The car still refused to run, and with every failed attempt, the pressure to find answers grew heavier. This was no ordinary repair job. It was a race against time and an expensive gamble on hope. With the manufacturer already deeming the car unfit for the road unless it passed a rigorous 111-point inspection, Mat was operating on borrowed time. Porsche's reluctance to support him signaled that this was more than just a technical problem. It was a standoff between independent ingenuity and corporate control. The stakes were clear. If the engine remained silent, the financial loss would be absolute. Yet giving up was never an option for someone like Mat. Transitioning from the car's surface-level mystery to the hidden secrets inside gave Mat a new perspective on what this Porsche had endured and what it truly needed to come back to life. Hidden engine faults revealed. Once the engine was out, Mat's inspection revealed details that even the manufacturer seemed to have missed. He identified that several critical components were either damaged or missing entirely. Among the most striking discoveries were the absent lifter arms, also known as finger followers, which play a crucial role in transferring the camshaft's motion to the valves. Without these small but essential parts, the engine's timing was thrown off, making proper combustion impossible. The camshaft lobes, which convert rotational motion into precise valve movements, were also showing signs of wear and improper function. In addition, the cam variators, parts responsible for adjusting camshaft timing relative to the crankshaft, were loose and unable to perform their task. This misalignment was a key factor in the persistent misfires Mat encountered when trying to start the car. It was a problem both mechanical and electrical, wrapped in layers of complexity. Replacing the missing lifter arms and installing new camshafts was no small feat. It required precision and patience to restore the engine's ability to synchronize its internal rhythms correctly. Mat had to source parts often guarded under strict manufacturer control, which complicated the process further. Yet, it was a necessary challenge if he hoped to breathe life back into a car written off by experts. Despite these repairs, Mat soon realized he had overlooked a critical detail on the engine's other side. The left bank of cylinders, which had passed an initial compression test, still harbored faulty camshafts deviating more than 6 degrees. This misalignment caused residual misfires that prevented the engine from running smoothly. It was a humbling reminder that even the most experienced can miss hidden faults during complex diagnostics. To address this, Mat removed the engine again for a second round of repairs. Replacing the camshafts on both sides, changing all spark plugs, and meticulously lubricating the system, he was finally able to reassemble the engine with a newfound confidence. When the car fired up, it was not just noise, it was the roar of a machine fighting to reclaim its purpose. For the first time, there was real hope that this GT3 RS could be revived. This journey revealed how intricate and interdependent supercar engineering truly is. Every tiny component, from a finger follower to camshaft timing, has to work flawlessly in harmony. Any deviation, no matter how small, ripples through the system and cripples performance. Mat's painstaking process wasn't just about fixing a broken car. It was an education in mechanical precision and the hidden vulnerabilities beneath a luxury badge. The unfolding tension between independent mechanics and the manufacturer set the stage for a conflict with deeper implications than just this Porsche's fate: corporate silence and gatekeeping. As Mat dove deeper into the repair, he found himself confronting not only technical obstacles, but also a wall of silence from Porsche itself. Despite his repeated attempts, the manufacturer refused to answer calls or provide the kind of detailed technical support that could have made a difference. This was no small inconvenience. It was a deliberate shutting out that exemplified the exclusivity often seen in the high-end supercar world. Porsche's guarded approach to repair manuals, proprietary technology, and diagnostic procedures is well known. The company, like many luxury car makers, tightly controls access to technical knowledge to ensure that only authorized technicians can maintain their vehicles. While this protects brand integrity, it also creates a significant barrier for independent mechanics like Mat, who want to challenge the norms and prove their expertise. This form of gatekeeping extends beyond mere technicalities. It is about power and control. By limiting who can work on these vehicles, manufacturers maintain an iron grip on repairs, parts distribution, and ultimately the customer experience. For Mat, this culture meant navigating a minefield of restrictions and threats to the very idea of independent repair. His bold moves to strip down and fix the engine were seen by some as insubordination. The refusal by Porsche's leadership, including CEO Oliver Blume, to publicly acknowledge Mat's efforts only fueled the speculation. Fans debated whether the silence was a strategic choice or a slight born of displeasure over Matt's open defiance of corporate rules. The tension between a DIY mechanic and a global powerhouse like Porsche captured the imagination of gearheads and supercar purists alike. This was not Matt's first confrontation with the supercar elite. Previous battles, such as his feud with the Bugatti CEO over access to repair information, had set a precedent. But the stakes here were arguably higher, as the GT3 RS was a more accessible and celebrated model. The question became, could one man's determination pierce through the closed doors of a tightly controlled automotive empire? Matt's public calls for transparency and fair access to repair knowledge highlighted a growing movement against the industry's locked-down technical ecosystem. Supporters viewed him as a rebel fighting for the rights of car owners everywhere, while critics accused him of disrespecting the brand and risking damage. The battle lines were drawn, and the stakes extended well beyond a single broken engine. The quiet corporate walls that Matt faced were about to be tested in ways neither side could have anticipated. Between this growing struggle and the hands-on repair work, Matt's story was evolving into something much bigger than a simple Porsche restoration: the high-stakes repair process. With a clear understanding of the engine's faults, Mat Armstrong set out on what would be a painstaking and high-stakes repair journey. Pulling an engine from a supercar like the GT3 RS is no small task. These machines are engineered with precision, leaving minimal room for error during disassembly or reassembly. Every bolt, sensor, and electrical connection must be handled carefully to preserve the car's sophisticated systems. For Matt, this process was about patience, skill, and an unyielding determination to restore what many considered beyond repair. Rebuilding the engine required more than just replacing parts. It demanded surgical attention to the timing components and valve mechanisms. Matt sourced brand-new camshafts and lifter arms to replace the worn and missing components that had crippled the engine. The cam variators were tightened to ensure proper synchronization between the camshaft and crankshaft, essential for optimal combustion timing. Each step tested Matt's mechanical knowledge as well as his ability to work without the usual support from Porsche's proprietary manuals. Replacing all the spark plugs was an important part of this reboot. It ensured that the ignition system could provide consistent and reliable combustion once the engine was cranked. Lubricating the intricate moving parts reduced the risk of premature wear or damage during initial startup. After reassembling everything, Matt's confidence grew, but the true test remained. Would the engine roar to life or continue to disappoint? The moment the engine was reinstalled and Matt turned the key, the shop filled with a tense silence. As the starter motor engaged, the engine roared to life, a sound that carried with it hope, relief, and vindication. This was not just a mechanical victory, it was a triumph over the odds, against both technical failure and corporate indifference. Yet, the battle was not quite won. The engine still exhibited a faint misfire, hinting at lingering issues that demanded further troubleshooting. Digging deeper, Matt realized the left side of the engine's camshaft problems remained untreated due to an earlier assumption. A second engine removal allowed him to address this oversight, replacing additional camshafts and double-checking every critical component. This second overhaul proved crucial. Once completed, the engine purred smoothly, without the stuttering misfires that had haunted earlier attempts. It was a significant milestone that suggested the GT3 RS might soon return to its former glory. Throughout this intensive process, the risks were immense. Matt was investing not just money, but reputation. The potential for error was high, and without Porsche's technical backing, every decision felt like walking a tightrope. Yet his persistence underscored a broader theme: the power of independent repair, fueled by passion and expertise to challenge corporate gatekeeping. For Matt, this was more than restoring a car. It was proof that resourcefulness could prevail. Even with the engine's return to life, sometimes the smallest leaks could threaten to undo months of work, creating a fragile hope that demanded vigilance and care. The coolant leak crisis. On the way to what should have been a celebration of progress, Mat's freshly repaired GT3 RS suddenly revealed a new and alarming problem. A coolant pipe was completely broken, leaking fluid across the streets. This was a potentially catastrophic issue. Without proper cooling, the engine could overheat, causing irreversible damage and wiping away all of Mat's painstaking repairs. The stakes rose sharply as this new crisis threatened not just finances, but the credibility of his entire restoration. Mat and his team acted quickly, towing the car back to the garage for a thorough inspection. Finding the source of the leak was their first priority. Upon lifting the car on a ramp, they identified a hose that had become disconnected from the cooling system, an easy point of failure with serious consequences. Reattaching it was only half the battle. They had to ensure the entire system was sealed and functioning reliably to prevent another failure. Refilling and vacuuming the cooling system became an exercise in patience and precision. The team carefully removed all air pockets to avoid future blockages or overheating, pouring coolant into the system while ensuring the hoses remained compact and secure. This detailed work, often overlooked by casual observers, is critical to the high-performance demands placed on a track-capable car like the GT3 RS. Any imperfection could lead to engine shutdown or worse. Hours of labor paid off when they finally confirmed the leak was sealed and the cooling system stable. The dashboard showed no warning lights, and there were no puddles of coolant forming beneath the car. It was a vital relief, but Mat and the team knew better than to take success for granted. This fix was only one piece of the larger puzzle, and the hard work wasn't over yet. The coolant crisis highlighted the fragility of even the most finely tuned machines. With everything depending on flawless coordination between components, a single failed hose could have spelled disaster. The experience added another dimension to Mat's journey, a reminder that the physical challenges of restoration are often intertwined with moments of tense urgency and quick thinking. Despite the setback, Mat's resolve remained strong. He understood that reaching Porsche for the final inspection, with the warranty reinstatement hanging in the balance, was the end goal. This leak, while serious, was not the end of the story. It was a hurdle to overcome before facing the ultimate test with the manufacturer itself. The repaired engine's roar and the sealed cooling system were more than mechanical achievements. They were symbols of persistence in a world where every detail counts, and every setback fuels the next push forward. Now, the challenge was to see if all this effort would be recognized and rewarded where it mattered most, with Porsche. Warranty reinstatement and future plans. After overcoming every mechanical hurdle, Mat Armstrong faced his biggest challenge yet: convincing Porsche to reinstate the GT3 RS's warranty. This moment was crucial, not just for validating his repair work, but for unlocking the car's true value on the market. A live warranty from Porsche adds thousands of pounds to the resale price and ensures future maintenance is covered by the brand's expert technicians. For Mat, this was the final test in a long and costly journey. Mat took the car to Porsche for their demanding 111-point inspection, fully aware the scrutiny would be intense. Despite the repairs, Porsche flagged a few remaining issues. The windscreen had a scratch that needed removal, and the engine showed traces of oil and coolant that required further cleanup before the warranty could be reactivated. Even so, the fact that Porsche considered reinstating the warranty at all was remarkable given the car's earlier rejection. The process came with a waiting period. Porsche required Mat to hold off on activating the warranty for 90 days after passing the inspection. During this time, further tweaks might be necessary to maintain compliance with their standards. For Mat, the patience demanded was frustrating but understandable. It was a small price to pay for the chance to turn his $87,000 investment and mechanical marathon into a genuine success. Financially, the numbers looked promising. After the $5,000 spent on replacement parts, including 2 new camshafts and necessary consumables, Mat's total was just over $92,000. With the warranty restored, the car's market value jumped to an estimated 136,000 British pounds or more. This wasn't just a restoration story, it was a savvy business move, leveraging technical skill to realize a significant profit margin. Mat's true intentions, however, appeared more layered than a simple flip for cash. Some fans speculated that he might gift the car or keep it as part of his growing collection, especially considering his previous gesture of giving a Ferrari to his father. The mystery added a human element to the mechanical saga, showing that for Mat, these cars are more than machines. They are stories, challenges, and in some cases, family legacies. Beyond the immediate repair and resale, Mat's fight highlighted a larger issue in the supercar world: the gatekeeping of technical knowledge by manufacturers like Porsche. By successfully repairing the GT3 RS without official support, he challenged the notion that only licensed technicians have the right to work on these elite machines. This unspoken battle touches on ownership, access, and the right to repair, a debate that resonates far beyond one car or one mechanic. Mat Armstrong's journey proves that even the most daunting automotive problems can be conquered with grit, skill, and relentless determination. From a broken GT3 RS to near-full restoration and warranty reinstatement, this story blends mechanics with rebellion. If you enjoyed this ride, don't forget to like and subscribe for more inside looks at the world's most fascinating cars and challenges.